be beginning with the fundamentals firstly. So I'm going to pull up and discuss what exactly is Archer. Okay. Now, Archer as a tool is completely focusing on GRC automation. Now, we may have seen that there are different aspects in GRC, like when we perform certain auditing activities, or we perform certain risk management activities, or we may have to perform certain compliance assessments, right? Now, it is very difficult for an organization or an institute to keep a track of all their associated risk or all of their compliance programs just in a spreadsheet or in a Word document, or in any other documented format. So at that point in time, tools become one of the most important structure, or it becomes one of the most crucial part for the company, where they can systematically store, let's say, all the risk arising from third party vendors, or operational risk, or IT risk, or risk coming from financial domain, and so forth. So Archer is an automation tool which is capable to handle integrated risk management for the company, as well as is able to perform several assessments that the organization may go through during their tenure, like vendor profiling, risk assessments, application risk assessments, IT risk assessments, and several other assessments on even data protection or privacy. And you can think of any GRC area that you feel we want to automate it. Archer has the capability to do so. So because of highly customized nature and its automation capabilities, Archer has emerged to be one of the greatest GRC tool in the market. And this tool promotes all the GRC features that any company would need, like your entire GRC program, right from auditing all the way till implementation, policies, business continuity, IT and security, ESG, business resiliency, right? Any use case you talk from a GRC perspective could be curated in this particular software or a tool, and it definitely promotes more and more automation. So RSA Archer is a software that is, a common software or a common tool for stakeholders from all these area, where they can work on these common activities, handle risk, perform assessments, address controls through different business lines, and their proper designing as well as their proper systematic processes could be incorporated in this tool, right? So it is not just a tool which will just allow you to probably have only and only use cases. You can even design processes within it, you can even design workflows within it, you can even design reporting within it. So it's a very comprehensive tool, right? So we gradually are going to see a couple of features for this tool as well. So I'm going to show you how actually this tool looks like. Now if you look at this particular dashboard or a home page, guys, this is how the user menu, or I would say the use cases that the tool can accommodate, has been mentioned over here. And these are just few examples which has been taken. So now the reason why we say this as an integrated platform is because your entire issue management, right from creating exception requests to remediation plans to creating findings, and even working on, let's say, audit management for creating auditing plans, creating audit management modules, audit entities, audit observations, any activity that you need from an audit perspective could be conducted within the tool, as you can see in different use cases like this, followed by operational risk management or enterprise risk management, business resiliency, even the whole TPRM module, third party vendor management or risk management, could be accommodated, where right from vendor profiling to creating several vendor risk assessments, performing several activities on vendor profiling, classifying the vendors into different levels and categories, creating multiple vendor engagements, creating different vendor assessments for your vendor provider or so. Everything could be accommodated in this tool. This is exactly the beauty of this tool, that we do not have to go ahead and work in silos. Like, we do not literally work in silos, or we do not work with different teams, or we do not work with different group of people asking for some details and so forth. That is already available in the tool. So Archer is acting as like a common repository. It is acting like a common tool that is capable to address all of your GRC needs and all of your GRC expectations. All right. So this is how ideally the home page of Archer would look like, guys. Now, followed by the use cases which we may want to deep dive into. So let's think of ORM being one of the widely used use case in Archer as operational risk management. Now think of a situation, guys, that I do want to create multiple associated risk in the company. Okay, so you see that how navigation of this particular use cases could be done in form of a top down approach. Now let's say if I want to create like a risk hierarchy, I may want to register the risk through the risk registers. Then you see that I do have the option of creating multiple records like this. So records is something which is just like a sample data, that if I want, I'm creating a risk, let's say, which is associated with maybe data protection, right? That I do not see enough data protection measures present in a SAP system or in an Oracle system in the company, then definitely I'm going to go ahead and create a risk for the same. So how do you go ahead and create a risk within the tool? So it is just by clicking a simple button of like a create new record. So upon clicking like a create new record, you get something like this as a page. Now this is an issue. This is an issues management example. So you must be seeing that we do have issues. We have issue owner, we have task owner, we have issue status, we have issue due date, issue attributes, issue titles, issue summary, right? And every detail that we may need in terms of creating or registering an issue which has been reported could be tracked through this tool. We no longer need to use any kind of Excel sheets or Word document for tracking anything. It is pretty simple that just by a click of a button, you can go ahead and you can create an issue like this, a risk like this, a policy like this, right? Every GRC module you can think of could easily be created through very simple process or navigation by clicking of a simple button like this. And one of the most important features in this tool is that, let's say for instance, this is one of the sample design which has been provided for issue. Now if your organization may be using a complete different pattern for issue, or issue may be recognized as findings, okay, then instead of, let's say, issue summary over here, we may want issue description as the formatting. Or if we feel like that the bandwidth or the size of this particular field is not sufficient enough, we need like an enlarged field, or we may need a broader field, then Archer has the capability to customize every field that you see here. If you do not like the name, you can go ahead and change it. If you feel like there's a width is less, you can change it. If you feel you want to move this field and shuffle it at different places, you can do so. So pretty much in terms of flexibility, the tool is wide open and the tool can be customized to a great extent, right? So customization has been one of the key features in the tool, right? That you can customize up to a level that you feel like. You feel that you don't want to go ahead with this design at all and you want to completely have a new design, yes, you can go ahead and accommodate that in Archer. If you feel that you want to reutilize this design and make minor configurations, yes, you can do so. If you feel that you do not want to just manually create this record and create, let's say, hundreds of records in bulk, yes, you can do so. So that promotes more flexibility and feasibility to the entire GRC ecosystem, because managing everything becomes much easier, guys, right? And at the same time, if you see, there is also a possibility of schedule as well as report. Now, let's think of an example. Okay. Now, think of this as an example that I may have particular group of records created. Like I can create about 100 issues or 200 issues within RSA Archer as a tool. But then I feel like that I only want to take a track of issues that are just created in year 2025. I do not want to see issues created prior to 2025. So with reporting features, you can create n number of different reports. right? What you see here is one of the type of a report only. What you see here as overdue remediation plan, open findings, expired exception request, open findings in terms of criticality. So you can create multiple reports like this for different stakeholders. So Archer does give you that flexibility, that if you feel that you want to categorize issue based on category, feel free to do it. If you feel you want to categorize issues or risk or any other GRC module in terms of its creation date or first published date, you can do so. It's widely customizable, right? And I can create n number of dashboards like this within the system. So for every stakeholder who is working, let's say in issue management, as an issue creator, as an issue owner, as an issue reportee, or head of issue management, right, there would be multiple stakeholders in the company who will be assigned with different roles and responsibilities. Let's say for instance in issue management, then for each of these stakeholders, what is their priority item, or what would they like to see in terms of their report, or what would they like to see in terms of their dashboard. We all can customize different dashboards and different reportings for each of these stakeholders, guys. Now let me show you some examples within this itself. So let me just highlight a few things. Now if you look at this carefully, guys, Archer does give you the flexibility to create, different types of fields as well. Now if you look at this due date, right, now within this due date I can technically not put up a description, right? It has to be a specific date that will be assigned to an issue. If you look at issue status, it has to be dedicatedly a status. I cannot put up verbiage something over here. It has to be either as open, closed, in progress, rejected, deferred, retired, right? Anything. If you look at the summary, this is dedicatedly a text field where I have to properly describe the entire summary of the issue. So one important feature which is really helpful within this tool is that you get to create these kinds of different fields, right? So if it is a date field, you go ahead and create a date field. If it's a numeric field, you go ahead and create a numeric field. If you feel that I need some text or I need some description, you can go ahead and create a text field. If you feel that you want to add up name of a person, right? So for instance, if you see over here as issue owner, you can select a user, or you can assign it to a group, right, that the whole group is going to act as an issue owner. So it is pretty flexible in terms of design, guys, that whichever format we want to design our modules, or whichever way we want to design our modules, we can do so. So it's just that we need to understand the product well, and then you will be able to design it in every possible way that you feel like. So that is one of the biggest advantage. Now, apart from this, if you look at not just the issues, right? If I go back and if I talk about risk scenarios, risk register library, control procedures, risk registers, right? Every module could be designed something which is similar to issues what that we see over here. Yep. So something what is similar to issues, I can design it for risk registers. I can design it for third party assessors. I can design it for third party profiling. That's pretty much possible. And then when we talk about this product, guys, there are multiple approaches. Now, if you purchase this product from the company itself, from RSA itself, and if you request for certain use cases, they are going to give you these use cases inbuilt as a product, right? You don't need to design this from scratch, but rather it would be provided to you as an inbuilt functionality. So that is also an option. If you feel like that, you don't want to customize it too much, or you do not want to design it too much, but rather if you know that you are going to use probably regulatory compliance, you are going to use issue management, you are going to use ORM, or you are going to use TPRM, right? Then you can just request for these use cases. You can request to the Archer team that we are looking for this core use cases to be used within this product. So you get this product with these use cases. Definitely there will be additional costing and charges for the same. But even though you want to go with the design what is available in Archer, you can do so. And if you feel like that, no, This is not something I would like to follow what is provided by Archer, because we have a complete different process to follow in our organizations and companies. So probably it would be good for us to design it from scratch. Then as well you can do it. So it is available as both the options. Whatever works the best for your company, you can go ahead and you can pretty much choose that. Now followed by the admin panel, guys. Now if you look at this, that these are all the administration functionality that this tool has, right from access control to advanced workflows to any kind of announcements that we may want for all the users of this platform, how to change the look and feel of this particular product, how to design an application from scratch, how to work on different integration activities. Or let's say if I want to integrate Archer with another product or another tool, how do I do it? Or if I want to send the data from Archer to another cloud location or an external drive, how do I do it? If I have the data existing outside of Archer in an Excel sheet and I'm promoting more of a GRC automation, so I would want to go ahead and ingest this entire set of data within the tool, how do I do it? Right? So pretty much every possible option, from Archer to an external location, and from external location to an Archer, integrating between the two tools, all the features and functionalities are available within this tool, right? That we can take care during the integration phase. Similarly, notifications and reports, right? Now notification plays a very important role. So it is but obvious that how do we notify different stakeholders upon completion of an activity? Now let's say I've decided that I do want to notify risk stakeholders when a particular risk has been mitigated. Okay, so the expectation is that risk mitigation should take place, and risk mitigation should be done immediately, right? I mean, as soon as the risk mitigation is done immediately, stakeholders should be notified about the same, that risk has been mitigated. The moment risk status changes to acceptance, the stakeholders should be informed about the same. So how do we do all such activities? How do we work on such activities? How do we alert the stakeholders with these activities? So for the same, Archer has given a wonderful functionality on notifications. We can go ahead and we can design notifications according to the criteria that we need to make. Okay, so let's say I have a criteria that for every risk I'm going to assign a due date, that by this due date the risk has to be mitigated. So I can design notification as reminder notification. So let's say if due date is going to be like 28th of February, right? Then I can set a notification that prior to 10 days, send a notification to the risk analyst that the risk due date or the risk completion date is approaching. Send a notification 15 days prior to the due date that you are supposed to complete that risk or put it to an appropriate status as soon as the due date is approached, right? So we do have such activities across where we do want to ensure that appropriate notifications are received by the stakeholders, because if they do not receive the notification, people will not be aware with the next steps. Okay, similarly if I talk about an audit plan, okay, now the audit planner or maybe the auditor is submitting an audit plan. Now the moment he submits an audit plan reviewer should be notified that an audit plan has been submitted. He needs to log into the tool, he needs to verify the same, and he needs to either approve that or reject that. Correct? So I can design n number of notifications like this, which is really really helpful to probably provide information about the exact status as to what is going on within the organization. Okay, so that is something which is at the top. So I can set up reminder notifications, I can even set up escalation notifications. Let's say a due date has passed, and even after the due date has passed, group of people or stakeholders have not completed their activity, have not completed their work. So maybe you feel like that you want to include their n plus 1 managers, or you may want to include the senior authorities to inform them that the work is still pending. maybe issues are unclosed, maybe exception request has not been approved, maybe remediation plan has not been closed, or maybe risk has not been mitigated, right? Absolutely, we feel like no work has been done. Then in all such cases and scenarios, we have the ability to go ahead and get all of these particular activities sorted out. So notifications will play a crucial role as a part of this entire ecosystem. And similarly is the case with workspaces and dashboards too. So with regards to workspaces and dashboards, we will even be able to provide individual workspaces to participants, to all the stakeholders, as well as help them understand that every stakeholder will have an important role to play in. So workspace is also something that we do promote in terms of the tool capabilities and functionalities, right? So these are some of the primary features that we mainly work on the admin side. Okay, that as an administrator, we do have the ability to go ahead and customize all of these for particular customers, for particular clients, for particular stakeholders, and so forth, right? So that's pretty much available and possible over here, guys. Okay, now similarly, if I talk about the access control part, right, just as one of the features of this tool, you see that there are n number of features what I can control with access control, right, from users. So as every tool would need like a login credential and would need a group of people to work on this tool, to utilize this tool, we can certainly go ahead and we can leverage the list of users here. Okay, so list of users is something that we would like to have it stored in the system. So let's say if I have about 500 users who are going to use Archer on a day-to-day basis, or any GRC product on a day-to-day basis, it is important for me to create their user accounts or so forth. And this is ideally how it would look like, guys. Just as an instance, their account name, their username, their status, right? This is how Archer will showcase all of these users. Of course, names have been removed and replaced with sample data to avoid any conflict or confidentiality issue. But yes, all the users that you may want to have within the system can be created in bulk, can be created individually, right? We have both the options of creating either in bulk or individual, in whichever possible way that we may want to create. Because think of a situation that you are not using tools right now, and the case is that still GRC is going on in the company, or you may be using any another tool and you want to migrate it to let's say RSA Archer. So at that point in time, all your data, including user accounts to different properties, will have to be accommodated in bulk, will have to be migrated in bulk. So for that reason, you can go ahead and you can just add up all of these users successfully in bulk as well in Archer. You don't need to manually create anything. Just with a simple process, you can create thousands and thousands of users independently within the tool, within the system. So that is something which is really important. Okay, now if I talk about the roles, right, now definitely as we speak GRC, then definitely as you can see there are multiple access roles which we can create. Now this is exactly what you see as different stakeholders, different roles and responsibilities these stakeholders may be having, what individual role this each stakeholder would be playing in this entire RSA Archer. So all your access control, specifically on restricting the permissions, and several controls which speaks regarding access management, access control, restricting the privileges and permissions, how segregation of duty could be accommodated. Guys, every role will be defined within the tool. Every role will be given different responsibilities. Every role will be given different privileges of read, update, create, delete, just read only, right? So all these activities what we have can be created within the tool, again as a part of you know this particular tool. So if I feel like that I want to create certain roles which is maybe related to, let's say, risk, or maybe related to data protection, I can create any roles as well. And these are all the roles that you see is already available in the tool, right, with their different privileges and permission. So if you feel like that multiple roles according to your organization should be clubbed together, like you don't have an audit business contact, right? So it is always good that you can just inactive this particular access role, or you do not use this access role at all. So business contact is something that is available in the tool, but you're not leveraging for your organization or company. You can certainly do so. Then similarly, if you see that there is no audit staff, you just have audit lead, manager, external auditor, audit planner, audit admin maybe, right? You're not even using audit staff. Then in that case as well, you can just simply not use this particular access role or restrict this access role. So nobody will be able to, grant this access role to any user mistakenly or unmistakenly as well. But this is the capability of this tool, guys, that any access role that you would like to create and manage entire role based access control, or access control in form of confidentiality, integrity, availability, in terms of let's say CRUD permissions, every possible way of controlling accesses for stakeholders will be done using access roles, guys. Okay, so that's pretty much is possible. Then, if you look at, there are certain security parameters. Now, think of a situation, guys, that every stakeholder in the company, certain accounts would be highly privileged domain accounts, certain accounts will be just like a normal or a general user. They may not have major roles to play, and they will just be like read only. But then if I look at roles of system administrator, or if I look at roles of chief technology officer, or if I look at roles of senior level management, right, they probably have elevated accesses, they have got elevated privileges, they have access to more confidential information. So even in this case, guys, if I want to define security parameter based on the user account types, that okay, if it's an HPA, I can go ahead and set up their own password length, I can set up their characteristics, I can set up the minimum password strength that anybody from an HPA category should have it, I can do so. And similarly, there are multiple authorization properties which will restrict the access to the account without completing the full formalities. I can set it up. So Archer does give you the possibility that if, as per the policy of the company, if a particular password should have a minimum length, maximum length, special characters, alpha characters, all we do is we just enter those details over here and we save it. And this is as successful that your policy, which talks about different types of user, which talks about password protection and so forth, everything can be accommodated in this tool just with the inputs that we do. So even as an auditor, guys, if you want to audit and verify that yes, as an organization a particular company is following what is written in the policy, then you can just simply go on this particular page, extract this, and even ask the administrator to perform some kind of validation and show you that if you try to enter a password which is less than 9 characters, Archer will throw up an error or a warning, right? So even for auditors and compliance team, the process becomes way easier, because it's just going on the back end and just seeing this page, that what is written in the policy versus what is written or present in the tool, is it aligned, is it not aligned, and so forth, right? And this is how you can even go ahead and I'll just try to open up one of the parameter page. Okay, I think we don't have it. Anyways, so you can create different types of parameters. You can create it for a general user, highly privileged account. If you are categorizing based on geographies or region, can do so. If you're categorizing based on positions in the company, can do so. So any possible way where you want to set up your password, your authorization properties of logging in, logging out, tracking everything, that could be all done within this particular segment, guys. Now let's just move ahead and let's understand a few more properties for the same. Now, looking at the back end of Archer, right now, this is where all of our applications that is present within the tool is something that is going to be present. Now, let's say if I have multiple applications within the tool. Okay, I may have contacts application, I may have control assurance application, I may have applications associated with several regulatory compliances or control assessments, right? Now, for each of these application, it is this area where I can go ahead and I can control probably all of these particular details and information. So if you look at this, right, guys, now we have the ability to customize any of these application. I feel like that I want to modify certain designs in control 302 certification, or if I want to modify the design of control assessments, or I want to change something in control procedures or control standards, I have the ability to go ahead on the back end and just with a simple click of a button, I can change it, right? And I can even go ahead and change the statuses of this application. So for instance, if I'm not leveraging these applications within the system, I can put it to archived mode. And when I put it into archived mode, it is something that Archer is just considering this application in completely read-only format. It is not allowing the stakeholders to, create new data or create new records for this application, or it is not allowing the stakeholders to, modify these applications in any format. You can just keep these applications in read-only format. So that is even a possibility that for maintaining audit trail or for maintaining logs for compliance purposes, right? You can archive applications. Okay, you can always archive applications. You can put that into read-only mode, and then maybe for SOX testing or maybe for any other purpose, I can simply just go ahead and I can just simply put it all of these applications under different statuses. Okay, and this is how the entire application looks like, guys. This is basically the designer phase, where I can go ahead and I can design like a control ID. So if any control that needs to have a particular ID associated, I can go ahead and provide an input on the same. I can categorize controls based on different categories. If there's any, I can go ahead and highlight the control name, control description, control status. I can even create different tabs like this, which includes procedure ID, procedure name, description. And over here, you can see n number of different fields that I may want to use for control procedures. So whichever way you feel that your control procedure should look like, either you use what is available, okay, or you can simply go ahead and customize according to the way you want. So it is pretty much possible that as an administrator of RSA Archer tool, you do have the ability to go ahead and customize this in whichever way you want, right? So if you feel that there is no possibility or there is a possibility that I can go ahead and I can simply put it across different statuses or different descriptions and so forth, I would be happy to go ahead and customize this. And these customization as well does not need any kind of language knowledge or a coding language. It is as simple as going on the back end and then renaming something or modifying this within the property. So it's a very straightforward and a simple process to customize all of these as well. So it is pretty much possible that we can go ahead and we can customize anything on the back end of Archer side. And as a tool, it even allows you to create certain additional information that, let's say, you have this as a segment. Okay, now, it is likely that certain segments would just belong to stakeholders as submitter. Certain segments would just belong to reviewer. Now, reviewer is not supposed to see certain information, or submitter is not supposed to see certain information. Then what I can do is I can go ahead and I can design certain rules and actions as well. So I can define a condition that if the control category, okay, let's say is ITGC, then only the ITGC stakeholders should have the ability to go ahead and modify this control. If I put that control category and say that, okay, this is an ISO 27001 control, then all the ISMS stakeholders only will have the ability to go ahead and customize it. So even in that permissioning part, guys, if you want to customize it, we have rules and we have actions through which we can even customize the permissions based on different fields and based on different information that we provide. So that is also something which is pretty much possible. So now if we look at rules and actions, I can do so. I can even set up calculations. Now calculations is an important criteria, guys, that let's think about control effectiveness rating, or let's think about a risk score. And let's keep risk score because it's a simple one. Now, risk score is ideally calculated as impact into likelihood. So, whatever your impact score is on a scale of, let's say, 0 to 5, sorry, 1 to 5, and whatever your score in terms of likelihood is between 1 to 5, if I put likelihood as 1 and impact as about 2, then the overall risk score becomes 2. So, I can even design such kinds of calculation within the tool, which will be more of an automation. Okay, and then in order to calculate residual risk, I may additionally add the control effectiveness rating as well. So after you implement or after you have a control associated with a risk, the amount of risk which has been reduced, of course my risk score will reduce and my risk rating will change. So I don't need to manually do these calculations or activities. I can just write down a formula in the Archer system that impact cross likelihood should give me the risk score. And if the range of risk score, let's say, is between 1 to 10, classify that as low. If it is between 11 to 20, classify that as medium. And then between 21 to 25, classify that as high. So I can even write down such kinds of calculation. Then if I want to calculate the difference between the dates, the date the control was registered, or the day people started leveraging these controls for a risk, up until the risk was remediated. So like a control open date and a control end date, for instance, right? If I want to calculate the difference of the two dates, then as well I can leverage the calculation features, right? So there are about 200 plus different calculations that can be customized with Archer. So any of our mathematical calculations that we may be using for auditing evidences, that is also something you can leverage Archer for. So all your mathematical evidence which we primarily use as auditors for certain calculations, you can just go on the tool and calculate that and check the calculation. And even for from a process perspective, if you want to automate risk activities, or if you have designed a configuration that if a particular risk is selected, then automatically the control should show up, or based on the risk score and control effectiveness rating, the residual risk score should be automatically calculated in a particular manner. So I can go ahead and I can change the calculations as well in any possible format, guys, right? This is the beauty of this tool, which provides more and more automation, right? And one of the most important feature that this tool has is the audit trail or a history log. Now think of a situation that I am a control owner, somebody else is a control operator, somebody else is a control tester, right? These are the three acceptable and valid roles that we may have in control assurance. Now, as a control owner, what all activities that I do on a control record will be tracked in form of a history log or an audit trail. So if I have updated control name, if I have updated control status, if I have updated control rating, if I have updated control description, then any of the updates that I make in a control record will be captured in a history log that will exactly capture the date, the time, the person who did it, what was the change. So even anybody trying to misuse the control in an unauthorized way, or if we take into consideration the segregation of duty part, correct, everything will be captured in the history log. So Archer does have the capability to capture all the information via history log as well. So we will be able to go ahead and capture everything through a history log. We will be able to ensure that the history log captures all of these details, and then you can work on the history. You can work on the retention. You can work on, probably the approvals, you can see how long you want to retain this history, how long the history should be reversed, I mean how long the history can stay along. If I want to archive the history, can we do that, right? All possible formatting with regards to history log will also be accommodative, guys. Okay, that's something which is pretty much possible across. Now similarly, guys, like let's take an example on the assessment side. Now if I want to perform some sort of assessments within the tool, okay, let's say a simple example of a risk assessment. Now I want to perform a risk assessment on AI chatbots, right? Then as you can see within the tool that there is going to be like a submitter, there is going to be like a reviewer. You can check the status of a submitter, that whether he has completed the assessment and submitted it, whether the reviewer has reviewed everything and completed his review process or not, what is the overall risk status that this assessment is holding. I can go ahead and I can have it associated. And then these are some of the best practice, okay, these are some of the best practice list of questions what we have adopted. Now if I want to check that whether this AI chatbots, right, what kind of risk this AI chatbot possesses, so you see that I have dedicated got group of questions associated on assessment, right? And again, if you want to change any questions, add more questions, remove certain questions, you have full flexibility to do so. Okay, so if there's a question is that has there been a dedicated team assigned to the technical support of the AI chatbot solution, you can define as a yes or a no. If we are going through a full application life cycle, right, um, all of that is something which is pretty much associated with the life cycle and best practice to have better application security. I can simply go ahead and I can answer all of these questions according to the activity that we have, right? So we have got pretty much assessments, we have got pretty much sample questions associated as well in terms of access control to this chatbot. Has it passed all the criterias? Has it been alerted with any kind of security controls? Has there been any business continuity response plan defined for this chatbot solution? Is there a business continuity disaster recovery plan, right? So all the activities that we may need to perform as a part of assessment, I can do so. And then depending on the answers, I can go ahead and I can get the risk score. And what is the risk score on a scale of 10 or on scale of 25, again up to the organization, how they want to go ahead and how they want to highlight the same. So we do have the set of questions certainly listed. Now post that, we will also have other we do also have other set of questions on the impact scales, right? Like if this is extremely critical application, then how do we rate on a scale of 10? How do we rate the complexity of this AI chatbot on a scale of a 10? How do we rate this in terms of transactional data volume or overall user base that we are going to have for this application, right? We pretty much have got the scaling aspect present as well on this particular scenario, right? So pretty much everything I do have the activities to combine with or to compile with for an assessment, and I can most certainly go ahead and I can most certainly do the same, right? So that's pretty much possible to get it done, to get it completed. Now post this, we also have certain policies. Now for instance, as we saw issues, right, now in a similar way I can even create policies or a procedure or guidelines as well within the tool. I can categorize that, okay, if they are creating a policy, then what is the category that it belongs to, right? Is it belonging to education and training, financial management, legal and compliance, risk management, third party vendor management? What is the document type? What is the document name? What is the description about the policies? Some of the keywords that may be important, important business units it may be associated with, family to which this policy belongs to, subfamily to which this policy belongs to, a document owner of this particular policy, or a policy owner you can think of, right? All such details again could be drafted and could be present within this particular policy schedule as well. So that is something which is pretty much possible. Likewise, for audit entities as well, guys, if I want to perform an audit on an entity, I have the full ability to go ahead and create audit entity modules like this too. That how can I go on the audit entity and complete all the details about audit entity, its name, its objective, the region it belongs to, audit managers, or how plan entity would be associated with this audit entity, audit domain the entire audit or the entire entity belongs to, right? And then definitely couple of areas on the audit entity risk assessment, scope of the entity, historical audit engagements and audit assessments, right? That is all something that is pretty much available within the tool to go ahead and to add it up. Now, this is a simple example, guys. What we have done is we have created like an approval and a rejection workflow. Okay. Now, for instance, if I'm an audit plan submitter, okay, I'm the person who is creating audit plans, and then I'll be submitting it to the reviewer, and then reviewer would be finally approving that audit plan, and then automated status of the audit plan would be changed, right? Now, doing this process in a tool versus doing it manually, you can design workflows like this. You see that what we have done is we have leveraged several components of Archer, which helps me to create a workflow design like this. So basically, the moment audit plan is created, right, the status or the overall level of the audit plan would be draft mode, and immediately a notification would go out, right? A notification would go out to the submitter that audit plan has been created, and then you are supposed to go ahead, complete the formalities and submit the audit plan, right? So audit plan basically is going to be present at this stage, and then submitter is going to possibly approve the audit plan and send it to the next stage, or audit audit submitter is going to reject this and say that we are missing certain information, so we need to go ahead and add more additional information for the same. So different stakeholders will again receive a notification, status will be changed to rejected or more information needed, and then again the resubmission of audit plan will happen, right? Once it is approved, it goes to the next step of the final authority or final approval. And then if you feel that everything is okay with the audit plan, we can just go ahead and close the audit plan, and then the overall record is closed. But if we feel that no, we have missed certain information within the audit plan and we have not included a few, then there is high possibility that I can even update the audit plan. So I have to go with the selection of update audit plan. So when I select this update audit plan, guys, if you see, it goes again to the starting phase, to the initial phase, right? Without any stakeholder doing it activity. It's just the workflow. The record will follow its own workflow, right? As per exactly how I have designed, the entire approval, rejection, submission of audit plan will exactly happen according to how I have designed this workflow. So this is again an important feature, that any kind of designing that I would like to make in terms of process, or I would like to create a process associated with any kind of application that I may have in the system, right? I can simply just go ahead and create an advanced workflow like this, right? It is simply possible for me to go ahead and design an advanced workflow which talks about different processes, which talks about different workflows, different approvals, different emails, different statuses. I can simply go ahead and I can complete this particular scenarios, right? So that is pretty much possible for me to go ahead, complete this workflow, and complete the whole audit planning phase, guys, right? So this is again one of the primary and important features of the tool, where any kind of design that I may create for a risk, for ERM, for ORM, for vendors, for business continuity. You can create such kinds of designs, and you can create such kinds of workflows for any of the modules in GRC, right? So that is pretty much possible. Okay, now moving on. Now let's understand, guys, that why is it important to learn GRC tools. Now, one of the very common questions right now, processes we may be familiar with, we may know the processes, we may know, understand the processes, and that is good, that is equivalent. Okay, that is equivalent, that is good, that's all certainly important. However, when we leverage tools, what happens is you are able to understand automation, that manual activities which the stakeholders may be doing in their day-to-day lives, right? How that can be automated, how operational efficiency can be improvised, how with better technical skill set you are able to manage GRC platforms, how you are able to work on migration projects. Because without tools it is really difficult to manage GRC. Like in an Excel sheet, I cannot keep an audit trail, that who updated the Excel sheet prior, 5 days back or 10 days back. I cannot have Excel sheets in a fancy format which shows me a workflow design or so forth. Like the workflow what I'm creating, right? I can't do this in an Excel sheet. I cannot have my processes you know uh, automate in an Excel sheet this way, right? I cannot have fancy dashboards that we were seeing earlier, in an Excel sheet, something like this. I cannot create individual dashboards like this for different stakeholders in an Excel sheet. So there are a number of advantages, guys, that why learning a tool is important. And it does not really mean that if you learn the tool, you strictly have to work as an admin. Think about you as an auditor. Okay, as an auditor, you may have all the auditing skill set that you need, but what happens if I tell you that a company is leveraging GRC tools for its 27001 assessments, or SOC 2 assessments, or being compliant with SOC 2, ISO, and several other frameworks, right? If you have this skill set, right, you'll be easily able to perform even audit for from a tool perspective. That if there are multiple reports you need to capture from the tool, if you have already got information about the backend of the tool, your audit activities would become way more easier, because even you know tool based auditing, right? So that can act out, or that can be something which can be your USP. Or think of yourself as a GRC manager. Now as a GRC manager, your entire GRC program is on a tool. Now if you know a tool, if you understand a tool, that's when you will be able to manage your team, manage your projects, manage your stakeholders in a better way. Because if you don't know the tool, then the biggest challenge is that how any kind of changes could be accommodated, how multiple integration projects you can work across, if you do not have a fair understanding about the tools. So that is something which is really important, right? So not just the technical professionals, but even the functional professionals, if they have tech skill set, that is you know a big gap within the industry, that functional stakeholders may not be fully aware with technology and tools, right? And more familiar you are with technology and tools, better you'll be able to assist with your GRC needs. And specifically with so much comprehensive processes in the whole GRC segment, the use of tool is really really important, guys, because we will have so many cross functional activities. Like I cannot separate risk and controls, I cannot separate issues and exceptions, I cannot separate issues and remediation plans. They are highly interconnected to each other. An issue is a common module which will be tagged to every other GRC module, right? So we have good conjunction correlation between multiple use cases as well. So definitely it's really good idea to have a fairly good understanding about the tools, its features and functionalities. Plus it will even help with better technology management or product management. It will help you with regulatory needs that we may want to suffice from a product perspective, right? Because there are certain frameworks which even focuses on tool based activity or automation. And if you are at a maturity level, then again tools is something that is certainly going to uh, certainly going to be helpful, right? Then definitely implementing different risk management strategies. If you want to conduct assessments through a quantitative approach, you want to conduct assessments through a qualitative approach, you want to conduct assessments at an application level, at a device level, any level that you may want to conduct assessments at. If you have the official skill set and if you have the official ability, you can certainly go ahead and manage that. Plus, if you possess a technical skill set, then interacting with the core stakeholders who come from an IT background, who come with a professional background, right? Then you do have the ability to go ahead and simply ensure that these security teams have also got a stakeholder who is able to understand the technicalities of the tool, right? Though it may not be your dedicated work, but if you are a project manager or if you are a GRC manager who knows the tool, and then as a GRC manager, if you have multiple stakeholders coming to you with different kinds of requests, they are coming to you with different kinds of processes, they are coming to you with different kinds of requirements, right? You'll be able to address it. You'll be able to answer it that, okay, if this is something we can accommodate in the tool, this is something not we can accommodate in the tool. If there's any plan of automation activities, you know the features of the tool, so how you can turn around that and how you can explain them, right? So you're basically trying to bridge the gap between technical and business stakeholders, guys, right? You are acting as a gap analyst, or you're trying to fill up that gap between the two. All right. So these are, some of the highly privileged that we have by leveraging GRC tools. And if you look at dedicated, GRC market, right, it is definitely increasing a lot. And people who are willing to put up their careers dedicatedly on GRC side, this is a very good opportunity to gain a good understanding about the tool. And then you can definitely search a lot on the internet too, that how these RSA Archer has been used. Like majority of Fortune 500 companies are leveraging Archer, and you can verify the same on the official community too, that how exactly Archer has been leveraged in multiple companies, how they are using it through different organizations, through consulting businesses, etc. And definitely, if you look at these tools, they have a dedicated market in American region, European region, Middle Eastern, and Asia Pacific. So most of the big scale companies are using Archer a lot because of their features, their functionalities, right? And this is exactly where we come from, right? So you have ample of career opportunities to grow as an Archer consultant and secure a good job in multiple companies across. So if you are somebody who is not coming from a security background, right, and you want to move to a security background, then this could be an opportunity for you to upskill, learn everything about the tool, and then act as a GRC Archer consultant and start your careers and journey with. Or if you're already in a GRC domain, you want to upskill yourself, then this is also a good opportunity to present your techno functional skill set to the companies and organization, that how you are, out of the crowd, that you are able to manage everything technically as well as functionally.